I'm Frank, and I learned about my father's death the same way I learned I'd been erased from his life, through a smug phone call from my sister-in-law. Your father passed last night, Lisa said, her voice dripping with false sympathy. The funeral's Saturday. What? Dad was getting better. The doctor said, well, they were wrong. Anyway, David's already at the house sorting through paperwork. My stomach dropped. What paperwork? The estate, Frank. Your father's will, properties, accounts, everything. Lisa, I'm his son too. I should be there. She laughed. Actually laughed. Oh, Frank, don't worry about any of that. Your father left the house, the business, and all his accounts to David. He knew David could handle the responsibility. My hands started shaking. That's impossible. Dad always said he'd split everything between us equally. Plans change, Frank. Your father realized David was the more stable choice. You know, with your history of job hopping and that tiny apartment, he'll be fine. He's used to going without, she said to someone in the background, then laughed again. That's what your father always said about you. I want to see the will. You'll get a copy, eventually. The lawyer's handling it, Margaret Chen. Look, your father made his choices. He wanted his legacy protected, and David's the one who can do that. You've always been the simpler brother. Less complicated needs. I visited Dad 3 times a week. I was there every hospital appointment, and that was very sweet. But David handled the important things. The financial decisions, the business operations. Your father appreciated your visits, but he needed someone who could actually manage his affairs. David's already changed the locks. It's his house now. You can come to the funeral. Bring a dish if you want. Something simple. She hung up before I could respond. I immediately called my brother. David, what the hell did Lisa just tell me? Frank, hey, I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Find out what way? That I've been cut out of Dad's will? Dad made his decision, Frank. He wanted everything to go to me. Dad would never do that. We talked about this 100 times. He wanted both of us taken care of. People change their minds. He said you were doing fine on your own, that you didn't need help. When did he say that? When I was sitting by his hospital bed last week, he told me he loved us both equally. Frank, I don't want to fight about this. Then tell me the truth. When did Dad supposedly change his will? Silence. David? 6 months ago. Lisa helped him contact Margaret Chen because he wasn't happy with old Henderson. 6 months ago. Dad was on heavy medication 6 months ago. He was barely coherent. The lawyer said he was lucid when he signed. I want to see the will. Today. You'll get a copy after probate. David, this is wrong and you know it. I'm sorry you feel that way. I have to go. There's a lot to handle right now. He hung up too. I sat in my apartment, my tiny apartment that apparently proved I deserved nothing, and stared at my phone. My father and I had built that business together. I'd worked there every summer since I was 14. We'd planned for me to eventually buy in as a partner, and now Lisa was laughing about me going without. I opened my laptop and Googled Margaret Chen estate lawyer. Her office was downtown. I called immediately. Chen Law Offices. Hi, I need to speak with Margaret Chen about my father's estate. James Morrison. He just passed away. I'm so sorry for your loss. Miss Chen is with a client, but I can take your information. I'm Frank Morrison, James's son. The receptionist's tone changed instantly. Oh, Mr. Morrison. Yes, Miss Chen left instructions that if you called, she needed to speak with you personally. Can you hold? 2 minutes later, a woman's voice came on. Mr. Morrison, this is Margaret Chen. I'm very glad you called. I just found out about my father's will. I need to see it. I was hoping you'd say that. Can you come to my office today? There are some things we need to discuss in person. What things? Things I can't discuss over the phone. Can you be here in an hour? I arrived in 45 minutes. Margaret Chen was in her 50s, with sharp eyes behind designer glasses. She closed her office door and gestured to a chair. Mr. Morrison, how much do you know about your father's will? Just that I've apparently been cut out entirely. She opened a file. Your father came to see me 7 months ago. Your sister-in-law made the appointment and sat in on the entire consultation. Your father seemed confused, disoriented. He kept asking where he was and why he needed a new lawyer. My chest tightened. He had a stroke 8 months ago. He was on medication that affected his memory. I suspected as much. Mr. Morrison, I refused to draft that will. What? Your father couldn't answer basic questions about his assets. He didn't remember he had 2 sons at first. When I asked about you, Lisa said, and I quote, Frank's fine. He's used to going without. Your father just nodded. So he didn't change his will. Not with me. I told Lisa I couldn't ethically proceed. She became very angry and said she'd find another lawyer, but she used my business card to reference me. I suspect she found someone less scrupulous, someone who would overlook your father's mental state for the right price. Can you help me? I can do better than that. I documented everything from that meeting. My notes, my assessment of your father's mental capacity, and Lisa's exact words. I also have security footage of the consultation. It's standard practice, and I'm willing to testify that your father was not mentally competent to change his will that day. I felt something release in my chest. What do I do? First, get a copy of the will they're claiming is valid. Second, we file a contest based on mental incapacity and undue influence. Third, we get your father's medical records. And fourth, we expose whoever helped Lisa commit fraud. Do you think David knows? That's for you to determine. But I've seen cases like this. Usually there's one mastermind and one person who's willfully ignorant. I called my Aunt Barbara, Dad's sister, from Margaret's office. Frank! Oh, honey, I'm so sorry about your father. Aunt Barbara, did you know about the will? What will? Your father had a will with Henderson for 20 years, split everything between you and David 50-50. Lisa says Dad changed it, left everything to David. That's impossible. Your father talked to me 2 weeks before he died. He said he was updating the business succession plan to include you as partner. He was excited about it. Frank, your father was so proud of you. He said you actually cared about the customers, not just the profits. Can you testify to that? Testify? Frank, what's going on? I explained everything. By the end, Barbara was furious. That woman, I never trusted her. She was always asking your father about his assets, his accounts. At the hospital, she was photographing his medication charts. Why would she do that? I thought she was being helpful. Now I think she was building a case that he was incompetent. Unless she found someone who'd backdate the will. Make it look like it was signed before the stroke. Margaret nodded at me. Your aunt's smart. That's exactly what I'd do if I were committing fraud. I put the phone on speaker. Aunt Barbara, this is Margaret Chen, an estate lawyer. Can you provide a statement about James's mental state and his intentions? Absolutely. And I have texts from your father. He sent me one 3 weeks ago saying, can't wait to make Frank partner. Lisa keeps saying he's not ready, but she's wrong. Margaret leaned forward. Mrs. Anderson, can you forward those texts to Mr. Morrison immediately? Already doing it. My phone started buzzing. I opened them with shaking hands. There it was. Proof that Dad wanted me in the business. Proof that Lisa was undermining me. There's more, Barbara said. Your father's best friend, Tom Chen, my husband, Margaret. He plays golf with James every Sunday. Did play. He called me yesterday, very upset. He said James told him 3 months ago that he'd never cut Frank out. That both his boys were getting equal shares. Margaret was typing rapidly. I need to speak with Tom. Can you arrange that? He's probably at the house right now helping with funeral arrangements. Wait, I said. Tom's at the house with David and Lisa? Yes, why? Call him. Tell him to look for the will. The real one. Dad kept it in his office safe. Margaret grabbed my arm. Mr. Morrison, if they haven't destroyed it yet, that document is your smoking gun. But if Tom goes looking, they'll know we're on to them. So what do? We make them think you've given up. You go to that funeral, you act defeated, and you let them think they've won. Meanwhile, your aunt gets that will, and I prepare a lawsuit that will blow their fraud wide open. I took a deep breath. Okay, let's do it. The funeral was Saturday. Lisa spotted me immediately. Frank, you came. How sweet. I know this is hard for you. I'm sure Dad knew what he was doing. Oh, good. You're being mature. David was worried you'd make a scene. I hope there are no hard feelings. Your father loved you. He just knew David was better equipped. I understand, she beamed. See, this is why your father always said you were the easy one. He'll be fine. He's used to going without. I smiled through the rage. David approached cautiously. Hey, Frank, about the will. It's fine. I just want to say goodbye to Dad. At the casket, Tom Chen appeared beside me. Frank, your aunt called. I found the will. You did? It's in Henderson's office. Your father gave him a copy, and there's more. I found the forged will at the house. The signature's wrong. Wrong how? Your father broke his right wrist 7 months ago, signed everything left-handed for 3 months. Shaky, barely legible. The signature on the new will, perfect right-handed signature. They forged it. I took photos. Found emails between Lisa and Richard Shaw, a state lawyer, very questionable ethics. Sent everything to your aunt. Lisa's voice rang out. Everyone, thank you for coming. James was so proud of David. He always said David had the business sense, the responsibility. That's why James made sure everything would go to him. Tom whispered. She's making sure everyone believes the narrative. Let her. She's about to have a very bad week. After the funeral, Margaret spread documents across her conference table. Here's what we have. The legitimate will from Henderson, leaving everything 50-50. Medical records showing cognitive impairment. The forged will with the impossible signature. Security footage, texts from your father, and bank records showing Lisa paid Shaw $50,000. How did you get bank records? I have friends who don't like fraud. Shaw's under investigation for 3 similar cases. Barbara shook her head. That woman. She's looking at serious prison time, Margaret said. Tomorrow, I'm filing the contest. The court will freeze all assets. Let's see how David reacts. Monday at 11:30, David called. Frank, what the hell did you do? I just got papers from court. You're contesting Dad's will? Come to Margaret Chen's office. 2 o'clock, bring Lisa. I'm not going anywhere. David, if you had nothing to do with the fraud, you need to get here now. Silence. What fraud? 2 o'clock. David walked in alone. Where's Lisa? I asked. She said this was a waste of time. Frank, what's going on? Margaret stood. Mr. Morrison, I need to ask direct questions. Do you want a lawyer? Why would I need a lawyer? Because your wife may have committed multiple felonies. David collapsed into a chair. What? I pushed the forged will across. Look at Dad's signature. That's not how he signed after his wrist surgery. I didn't notice. Did you know Lisa paid an estate lawyer $50,000? What? No, she said Margaret handled it. I refused due to mental incapacity, Margaret said. Your wife found Richard Shaw currently under investigation for forging documents. Margaret laid out bank records, emails, photos. Dad's actual will splits everything 50-50, I said, but Lisa said Dad changed his mind. Barbara leaned forward. David, your father called me 2 weeks before he died. He was excited about making Frank partner. He always intended equal shares. David put his head in his hands. She kept saying Frank was irresponsible. I believed her. Did you think Dad was competent to change his will when he couldn't remember conversations? I asked. David looked up, tears streaming. I didn't think about it. Lisa handled everything. Frank, I swear I didn't know. Tom spoke up. I believe him. You were at work. You didn't see what she was doing. Margaret nodded. David, you can stand with your wife and face charges or cooperate with the investigation. What investigation? I'm turning this over to the DA today. Lisa will be charged with fraud, forgery, and elder abuse. 15 years in prison and full restitution. Elder abuse? She manipulated a cognitively impaired man to steal from his estate. I need to talk to Lisa. She may try to involve you as a co-conspirator. She's my wife. She's a criminal who used you to steal your brother's inheritance. David looked at me. Frank, did you really visit Dad 3 times a week? Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we'd watch game shows. He said I had integrity. 2 days before he died, he said he loved both of us the same. David started crying. I'm so sorry. I should have protected you. David, did you ever hear Dad say I was fine going without? Or was it always Lisa? He thought for a long moment. It was always Lisa. Detective Martinez arrived. He examined the documents. This is solid. David, are you willing to testify against your wife? David wiped his eyes. Will Frank get what Dad wanted him to have? If the original will is validated, yes. Then yes, I'll testify. 2 hours later, officers arrested Lisa. Tom called. Frank, she tried to blame David. When they said David was cooperating, she lost it. Started screaming she'd done this for him, admitted everything, said your father was weak and pathetic. The officers recorded it all. Margaret smiled. She made our case airtight. 3 days later, Judge Patterson spoke. Mrs. Morrison, you forged a legal document and manipulated a vulnerable elderly man. This court finds clear evidence of fraud, undue influence, and elder abuse. The original will is validated. You are ordered to pay full restitution plus court costs. I'm recommending the maximum sentence. Lisa turned to David. David, tell them I did this for us. David looked at her with pity. You did this for yourself, Lisa. After the hearing, David approached. Frank, I'm so sorry. I should have been a better brother. You were manipulated. I was weak. I let her poison me against you. Can you forgive me? David, you testified. You helped put this right. That means something. But that trust is broken. I understand. We're partners now. Can you work with me professionally? Yes. And Frank, you should be CEO. You cared about Dad's vision. Let's talk after everything settles. Margaret touched my shoulder. You handled that well. I don't want vengeance. I want what Dad wanted. Your father would be proud. Barbara hugged me. He really would, honey. 6 weeks later, Lisa was sentenced to 12 years for fraud, forgery, and elder abuse. She has to repay everything plus damages. Shaw lost his law license. David and I run the business together. It's awkward sometimes, but we're working on it. He handles finances, I handle operations. I moved into Dad's house. Sometimes I walk through his office and remember our conversations about the future. Lisa tried to apologize through her lawyer. offering remorse in exchange for supporting her parole in 10 years. I sent back one word: no. She manipulated a dying man, tried to destroy my relationship with my brother, and stole my inheritance while laughing that I was used to going without. Well, I'm not going without anymore. I have my father's legacy, my share of the business, and the satisfaction of knowing justice was served the right way, through lawyers, courts, and the truth. Have you ever had someone try to steal what was rightfully yours while making you feel like you didn't deserve it anyway? What would you have done in my situation? Like and subscribe for more stories about people who refused to be victims and fought back the right way.